Hey, good to see you, Nina. How you
Oh,
been?
it's good to well, it's been a trip, but
I know I've been following you on your threads. If you've noticed,
Oh yeah,
yeah, and
I've
thank
been
you for
watching
that.
it too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
thank you for your prayers for us. We
well,
so appreciate it. Yeah, this past week was kind of crazy because the home health care company has not been stellar. I'll just say it that way. They've not been great. So it was a lot
Yeah.
harder than it needed to be, but I think we're getting that corrected now. So
good, good.
Yeah, it seemed like you were kind of over the hump, you might say, and then all of a sudden you were
Kaboom!
saying that something else came up, and I'm like, oh my goodness.
yeah, yeah, it seems like there's always a little something in there, but yeah, he had something happen in the hospital that ended up with him staying a little longer than he anticipated. And it was quite serious too. So it was kind of scary. And then, getting home and just trying to work out all of that and negotiate how you're going to do things and the whole new paradigm and so forth. And then, like I said, the home health care company didn't turn out to be very good at all. And we were left without the bandages we needed for wound dressings and things like that. I had to go out and get them myself. And
Wow.
yeah, it was crazy. It was a little crazy. But I think we're getting it corrected now. So I'm really happy about that. And he's doing really, really good.
That's good to hear. That's good to hear.
Yeah.
So the prayers did
All
not go to
right.
waste.
Well,
No, they
Amen
did
to that.
not. They did not. He is doing very, very well. And I'm so proud of him. As a matter of fact, today, he got up and he was walking some, and he's had a walker because he was, weak and a fall risk. But today he tried walking without it and did good.
so back to what we were going to be talking about. Hey, there's Nancy Dunks. Hey, Nancy, good to see you,
Hey, Nance.
fellow Texan. I did a thing on the rumor that there's a lot of Republicans that are upset and thinking twice about Trump's tariffs. What about you, Nina? What do you think about the tariffs, and how do you feel about that?
I'm still in favor. I think it's one of those things, I know people got a little nervous with what was happening with the stock market and so forth, but to me, if you're in the stock market, you ought to be thinking long term. Let it sit, let it ride things out. And I feel that's the way I feel about the tariffs. We need to let this ride out and, create some balance, because that's what he's trying to do here. He's trying to create some balance in trade that we haven't had for years. He's right. We've been getting taken for years. And he's just basically saying the United States is not going to do that anymore. It's a privilege to do business with us, and therefore you're going to pay for the privilege, or at least it's going to be equal.
Well, yeah, and it seems like the Democrats are like 2 days after a tariff. Okay, it didn't work, and it's like they don't give it enough time. And I've
Mm-hmm.
talked to a lot of people. I said, it's going to be great at the end, but
Mm-hmm.
there's going to be pain in the beginning. It's like the old saying, no pain, no gain. But I know the minute they were talking about raising tariffs, that we were going to see prices go up. And it's
Mm-hmm.
to a lot of people, it seems counterproductive. But it also will drive things home. It'll drive
Mm-hmm.
business here to be able to get going and
Mm-hmm.
build up again. And if we keep it that way, then things will be pretty good. But
And look how many companies are investing now in the
already,
United States. Yeah,
already,
already that's happening. And here, I have to say, I don't know what it's like where you are, but here I'm actually seeing prices go down some.
yeah,
So,
I've seen a few too.
yeah, that's been
Of course, it
welcome.
doesn't help John where he's at,
No,
right,
not
John?
here.
Yeah.
Not
Well,
here.
what's your take?
There's a couple of things too that a lot of people basically nowadays people really don't understand the stock market at all. And it's not like it was for my father in his era back in the 50s and the 60s when it was U.S. Steel, RCA, Magnavox,
Oh, well,
Philco. I
yeah.
mean, that's what it's idea where you would get in there and you'd say, oh, good, I've got this money on this. I'll call my stockbroker up, sell so I can make a couple of bucks and then reinvest in something else. In other words, it was quick selling all over the place. Well, nowadays we're in a 401k market. And like Nina said, that is a long-term item. It's, in other words, maybe today it's, I'm just going to throw numbers out. Maybe today it's worth $100 and tomorrow it's worth 120. And the next day it's worth 140. And then it drops back to $100. In other words, it's a long-term investment. And if you take a look at how the market has played itself out since the 90s, if you would have invested $10,000, and this sticks in my mind so very easily, $10,000 into Amazon.com back in the 90s, 10 years later, it would have been worth $4.1 million.
God,
That's with a $10,000 investment for a little over 10 years.
Yeah.
And there's other things too. Think about some of the things we've got. Microsoft, that was out there in the market. Facebook was out there in the market. eBay. I got in with eBay when they made their first split. I think it went from $51 to to $112. In other words, but of course, that wasn't really that much money. I think I played around with about $4,000 or $5,000. But still just the same. People have to realize nothing happens overnight. This is not a McDonald's type market. This is a long-term market. And it's like I said, as long as it's holding itself, and you have to keep in mind too that we have to look at what they call the black factor. The black factor is the dishonesty. You know that the left is going to be pulling as much tricks as they can. You're going to have George Soros trying to fiddle with that market. He'll try to drive it down as far as he can one day and bring it up the next. Guy's got billions of dollars to play with. And same with BlackRock and the rest of them. They will be playing games. So you got to figure out too that they're going to be part of this too. And the same thing too is being counteracted by people like Elon Musk. He's got the billions of dollars to play with too. So this is, you have to throw that black factor inside there. But that's pretty much my cut on it.
I have to add, Dave, that as far as what the Democrats are saying about it, at least with me, they lost any credibility they had a long time ago. It's for the majority of them. It's very clear that they didn't want anything to succeed. They don't want this president to succeed at all. They don't want anything he does to succeed at all. So they are going to be criticizing very quickly.
Well,
yeah, well, exactly. I agree with you because I think that, there was a time that there would be Democrats and Republicans, and you could agree with a lot of things the Democrats might have to say about something and vice versa. But now, like you say, it's all about being against Trump. And it's like common sense went out the window.
Yeah, but
and it's like they didn't learn from the election.
Being against us.
Yeah,
what it is. It's being against us.
Yeah,
it has. This is not a derogatory. The hell with Trump. What about me? What about you? You get what I'm trying to say? And it's like Donald Trump said. He said, "I'm only out of here because they want you." He's standing in the way, literally. He is the one that has kept the country up. He's been that forefront with us. I actually, none of us will probably see it, but how I honestly feel about it is that one day he will be on Mount Rushmore without a shadow of a doubt. I have no doubt in my mind.
Let me show you this that's been going on. Click over here to it, get it going. So the tide is changing, I think.
Let's bring in Gordon Chang. He is a senior fellow at the Gatestone Institute, author of Plan Red, China's Project to Destroy America. Gordon, first of all, why would China say that they haven't had any talks with the United States if, in fact, President Trump is telling the truth?
I think it's because Xi Jinping has staked his legitimacy on having surpassed the U.S. And so it's very difficult for him to then say, oh, we're bowing to pressure from President Trump and we're going to talk about tariffs and other things. So I think he's boxed himself in. But in general, since he's become China's ruler in late 2012, he has made the political system hostile, where only the most belligerent answers are considered to be acceptable. So he is a very, very thin line which he can walk right now.
Well, President Trump may or may not have to answer the voters in 4 years. I mean, he's thrown out this balloon about running again, but most people, I think, believe he's already a lame duck president. He has to, though, keep members of Congress happy, at the very least. Xi doesn't have to do that, does he? I mean, he is an iron-fisted leader in China. So doesn't he have the ability to be, I don't know, more aggressive than President Trump?
I think that he once did when he was accumulating power from everybody else. But right now, he has near total accountability for what's gone wrong in China. And also, there is a lot of infighting at the top of the Communist Party, especially in the Chinese military, where it seems that his adversaries have now got the upper hand. But also, there's civilian infighting as well. And, yes, Don.
Yeah, so I think that a lot's been going on. His country is surrounded by other countries that are wanting to negotiate, and that's not good for him.
Mm-hmm.
No, not at all.
Yeah, I do.
Go ahead. No, I was just going to say that the one weasel in all this that I do not trust is Zelensky.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you there.
Did you see the outpouring of criticism about Trump wearing a blue suit to the Pope's funeral?
Certainly did.
To me, he's sending a message loud and clear to the world. Because number one, he didn't really care for him. He went there out of respect. People were complaining that he spent, I don't know, X amount of dollars on the flight over there, a waste of taxpayer dollars. When every dignitary all over the world went to the funeral. It's just kind of expected. But Trump had meetings already set up with other countries to talk about tariffs while he was over there. Mm-hmm. He was maximizing the
too. I posted a video today, or a short, it might have been a short, of the, as a matter of fact, I called it the blue. Yeah, it was a short called the Blue Suit Scandal, which they're trying. CNN is trying to make something out of, like Dave said, that he showed up for it. Well, they're like, you can see maybe 12 to 15 people in that one photograph, but when you see the other pictures that are taken there maybe are another dozen or more people with dark blue suits on, and then you get to the Saudi Arabians, they're dressed in whites. I mean, this is a funeral, and here they're starting to pick up on Trump. He's got a blue suit on. All that they're trying to do is
not even a dark navy.
Yes. It's the whole 9 yards. He jaywalked. He broke wind in a restaurant bathroom. It's just stupid things like, we don't care. But if you're a liberal, but he did that. How despicable! But yet the other funny part about it is that I did happen to see Zelensky. He did not have his T-shirt on, but he was not wearing a suit. He was wearing a black outfit, so to speak. It looked like a black sweater with a black pair of pants.
I think he wears that all the time.
Yeah.
I mean,
but just as much disrespect there as he showed in the Oval Office by not wearing a suit and a tie.
Well, when he showed up, the Oval Office was horrible. He showed up dressed comfortable going out to the beach. That's exactly what he looked like. That was disrespectful. Even I would find a shirt with long sleeves on if I had to go to the White House. Literally, that's something entirely different. That's respect. The Oval Office, it's our country.
Yeah.
But it's just kind of funny how CNN tried to spin that. This will be their newest one, but I think they might be cut back down. It's only been going on for about a day now. And I was able to pick up those other pictures and stuff. It's just, there's a whole bunch of people that wear blue suits there. And that looked like they all had the same tailor too, probably from China or Hong Kong.
It's just another one of those. They're looking for something that they can criticize. And I felt like when I heard that, I thought, really? That's the most serious thing that you could comment about?
Grasping at straws. Yeah,
very much.
They have nothing else. They have nothing to go on. And even then, you look at them and they still can't answer that, why they're going after, why they're trying to make such a big deal out of our illegal aliens that are here. It's absolutely crazy. I've been working on this one where I did a little bit of research. on the illegals, and it's cut and dry. There is no such thing as due process. If you're here illegally, and it's subsection 8, I've got it written down, but I'm going to do a video about it tomorrow. It's all there in black and white. If you are in the United States illegally, they have the right to snatch your butt up, put you on the next plane, train, or boat, whatever it is, and send you out of the country. There is no, I want to talk to a judge. I need a lawyer. No, you don't get to see anybody. You get to say, wave goodbye on your way back home.
Right.
Literally.
Yeah.
Right.
So that's the way the law should be. And I'm actually glad to see that, Dave, you have that one video I gave you there for that one woman, Hannah Dugan, I believe her name is, from Milwaukee. She let it illegal out the back door along with his attorney,
Right.
and ICE still found it. I mean, and they're still thinking they're not doing anything wrong. They're still saying, well, they need due process. Due process, and I'll tell you, this much I did look up to this. This is about as simple as I can put it. Nina, if you were illegal, you say you were a Canadian citizen, and I was an agent. All I have to do is ask you, Nina, do you have any proof that you're an American citizen? Can you prove it? I don't want to see your driver's license or whatever. Do you have any proof? And your answer to me is no. Goodbye. You're gone. That is your due process. No proof of American citizenship or a visa to belong here or passport. Even then, with the passport, I still need to see a visa. That is due process. It's that short and that simple. Less than 30 seconds. It's not like, well, we need to have this piece of paperwork here or that piece of paperwork there. No, that does not go. Official officer of the United States government only has to ask you, and if you cannot provide for him, then you're gone. Even if you are a legal citizen.
Here's one. Guess where this one came from.
They're playing the due process card to block Trump's deportation plans. But here's the truth they don't want you to know. Yes, the Constitution guarantees due process, but that doesn't always mean a courtroom, a judge, and a jury. Supreme Court rulings like Matthews versus Eldridge, 1976, confirm that due process is flexible. It can be satisfied through reasonable procedures depending on the context. When it comes to illegal immigration, verifying a person's non-citizen status through an impartial administrative process can meet constitutional standards. In fact, expedited removals already happen under United States Code, Title 8, Section 1225, and courts have upheld them. Here's the core issue. Due process only applies to the charge at hand. In these cases, it's not about work permits, amnesty claims, or sympathetic backstories. It's a single, simple question. Are you or are you not a legal citizen of the United States? If the answer is no, then deportation is legally valid. That's it. No theatrics required. All that's needed is an administrative review board, not a full courtroom, tasked with verifying records, confirming identity, and establishing legal status.
That's it.
Yeah, and even then, with having something minuscule is having in front of a small board, it should be up to the agent, whoever made the arrest, to say, you want to play games with me by having me have to come and wait for a half an hour to an hour in front of some agent. You could use also that agent could be a justice of the peace. They can, believe it or not, they have got more power than a lot of these major judges that are up. A justice of the peace is very powerful. I learned that many years ago. And it's the point behind it is that with justice of the peace, he can hold that up. And all you have to do is he'll make the decision. Well, where's your proof? You don't have any? Fine, bye. You're out of here. That's all there is to it. But in other words, you can push it that far. But as far as your right to have an attorney, no. You do not have the right to have an attorney if you are not an American citizen. They can provide you with an attorney if you get to an embassy of your whatever country you're from. Then you can have that.
If you're seeking asylum or something. Yeah.
Right, then you're seeking asylum, but they're not seeking asylum because they've been caught. So it's they're making this up. They're blowing this all up into something that has nothing to do with. You watch a couple of months from now, all this is going to be blowing over, but I have a feeling what's actually going to end up happening is going to be pretty bad. all the information I've gotten is Guantanamo Naval Base. The housing that they have out there for I don't know how many 10,000 people, they're going to start using that. They're going to start filling that up, Gitmo, and people that are going to be, there's millions of people in this country, and they're going to be trying to get rid of as many as they can, and that's going to cause some problems. They're going to have to start loading plane load after plane load. It's going to have to look like like it was before. Here you've got skies filled full of planes heading to El Salvador, heading to Caracas, Venezuela, heading to everywhere, heading to Bogota, Colombia. They're going to be heading all over the place because these are the people they're going to have to get rid of them, and it's going to create a lot more problems. The Democrats are trying to slow this process down because these are their voting people, and you better believe that they're going to try to pull everything out. They only have about another year left for the next election, isn't it? I believe it's this year, or what is it? Is it November this year for the midterms, or is it one more year?
It's next year, isn't it? Next year?
26. That's right.
Yeah, next year.
26.
Yeah, 26. But you better believe they're going to pull all the tricks out of the book. We've got to watch out for this one. We got to make sure we get the right amount of senators and we get the right amount of Congress people in, because we need this for Trump, because they're going to still continue all this
there's
stuff.
been a hard push to maybe push back to paper ballots and verifiable things that aren't electronically modified. And hopefully they'll get that in place or something like it by next election. But the thing is I think because of all the little tricks and all the things that we've caught over the years, it's getting harder and harder for them to go undetected like they had in the past. So I feel a little bit better about elections now, even though it doesn't mean that it can't be messed with, But,
well, they're going to be messed with, but we know exactly where they're messed with now. It's going to be Chicago. It's going to be Philadelphia. It's going to be Los Angeles. It's going to be the in other words, as they say on TV, the usual suspects.
Yeah, the usual. Yeah. So I got this clip. I think that's you sent it to me, John. Let me see. Is it this guy reporting? Let me go.
Yeah, that one there. This just broke about 20 minutes before we got on the air.
Okay.
Information right now about the theft of a purse and some $3,000 in cash from
Kristi Noem,
DHS Secretary Kristi Noem on Easter Sunday. I want to put up a post from her talking about the individual that was arrested, believed to be an illegal immigrant. And you can see on social media saying, "Thank you to the Secret Service and ICE and our law enforcement partners for arresting the criminal who stole my bag on Easter Sunday. I shared a meal with my family at a Washington, D.C. restaurant. The individual is a career criminal who has been in our country illegally for years. Unfortunately, so many families in this country have been made victims by crime, and that's why President Trump is working every single day to make America safe and get these criminal aliens off our street." Of course, it was, according to her, a Chilean national was previously busted for a similar scheme in London. Mario Bustamante Leiva, a 49-year-old, was arrested on Saturday after he allegedly made off with that luxury shoulder bag. Also, a post from Ed Martin, the U.S. attorney there in the District of Columbia, saying this repeat offender will be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law, quote unquote. No one is above the law. And the New York Post also gathering a mugshot for the individual, saying an illegal migrant accused of snatching Kristi Noem's Gucci bag, identified as a serial criminal from Chile. So we're following the very latest here on this on live and now from Fox's Metropolitan Police and the U.S. Secret Service caught the suspect. They're still in search of a second suspect in connection with the incident. The two men are in the U.S. without authorization, and U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement is now involved in the case. The suspect in custody is scheduled to appear in court early next week, according to the New York Post. Of course, we're all
getting a little long.
Can you imagine being the person that stole that, found out who it was that he stole it from? Like, oh my God. One thing they did leave out on that they did not say, that I'm sure that everybody's aware of, she carries a gun. So that purse had a gun in it too.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
And if if they're looking for the second person might have that gun.
Might be armed. Second person might be
Yes,
armed
might be
and
armed.
dangerous.
So,
Yeah.
but I mean, how stupid could you be? I mean, wrong person. Wrong person.
Hmm. Did you see
Hey,
how it was he did it?
But
Did you
Say
see
that-
how it was he did it? Did you hear the report of how it was he managed to snatch her purse? Because she had it on the floor next to her leg.
oh,
So
Really?
under the
didn't-
table, so it wasn't
Yeah.
like she just had it on the back of the chair and he just walked by and snatched it.
Right.
No, she
So-
had it on the floor next to her leg. And as he walked by, he kicked it away and then dropped the
Grabbed
coat
it, man.
over it and then picked up the coat with the purse under it so nobody could see and walked out with it, wrapped up in the coat. So yeah,
Huh.
it was planned.
Wow.
And he's, as they said, he's a professional. He's been doing this for a long time. And if he's doing this, then he's got somebody on the outside he's fencing the stuff with, or somebody he can pass it off to and come back in the restaurant and do more.
Right. So they caught him. I
Unbelievable.
wonder if they recouped her money and besides just the bag.
well,
I'd
Easter
be
Sunday was a week
surprised.
ago.
Yeah.
I'm sure the money's
Yeah.
long gone. The gun's long gone too.
So what about that judge that got arrested, and then everybody saying Trump arrest judge? I'm like, Trump didn't do that, and the administration didn't do that. It's somebody
ICE did it.
did an illegal act and got caught.
But she deserved it. She deserved it. It's one thing for her to get
Right. They
upset
were sitting
about.
in the courtroom
Hang
with
on.
the state prosecutor.
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, that's
Didn't mean
all
to
right.
cut
I was going to say, it's one thing for her to get upset about them walking into her courtroom and trying to arrest the guy. It's a whole nother thing to go out in the hall, yell at the ICE agents, and make sure
Right.
while she's yelling at them that his attorney is taking him out the back door.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
that's the whole thing. But what I'm getting at is, and both sides are guilty of it, because I know this conservative influencer that posts this big old thing. Trump puts judges in jail. Just for the hype of it, and then you go on and he's talking about this case, and I'm thinking, even the Democrats are saying, "Oh, the administration is doing this." You'll see in a minute. Here, let's hear what Pam has to say, and then I'll move over to something that's probably more skewed the other way.
The judge learns that ICE was outside to get the guy because he had been deported in 2013, came back in our country, commits these crimes, charged with committing these crimes, victims in court. Judge finds out. She goes out in the hallway, screams at the immigration officers. She's furious, visibly shaken, upset, sends them off to talk to the chief judge. She comes back in the courtroom. You're not going to believe this. Takes the defendant and the defense attorney back in her chambers, takes them out a private exit and tells them to leave, while a state prosecutor and victims of domestic violence are sitting in the courtroom.
Wow.
make
Madam Attorney
this up.
General, great to have
You see what I mean? That and you notice that she's just straightforward and just to the facts. She didn't add any flavor or
Nope.
or put any kind of bias. It was exactly what happened, and it's because this judge literally did something illegal, And if you go over here to these guys, see, this is what did I say it was, CBS. Don?
Might have been ABC.
The FBI director deleted that post, but
Yeah.
we do know from our affiliate in Wisconsin that Judge Hannah Dugan did make her initial appearance this morning. She was charged with 2 federal crimes. That includes concealing a person from discovery and arrest, and the second count is obstruction of federal proceedings. She appeared, her attorney in that court proceeding said that, quote, Judge Dugan wholeheartedly protests the arrest, and the judge ended up actually ordering her released after that hearing. We expect that she will plead not guilty to those charges. But this is a dramatic escalation, obviously, of the Trump administration's, war with the judiciary. They have been previewing the possibility that they would seek charges against any judge or federal officer or even state officers who they say obstruct lawful deportation efforts by this administration. But obviously,
that's my point right there. They can't just report the news as it happens, they turn it into, it's a Trump administration thing. Giving the kind of the idea, if somebody's not keeping an eye on what's going on, they just happen to watch this, they're going, oh wow, the Trump administration is going after judges. It's the seeds that they plant. I think that we really need to clean up our the way our media operates. We need to come up with some way that if you're gonna report these things, you need to keep it strictly the facts, not adding opinion. There's always opinion blended in. I know it'd be a really hard thing because everybody has their opinion, but
it's not
turning that into
like
a Trump thing
20, 30 years ago. It's not the news anymore. It's opinions.
It's all opinion.
Yeah, let us tell you what you need to think about this.
Yep, you're right.
Yeah,
Nancy.
I agree with you, Nancy. Yeah.
Yeah, you're right, Nancy. I'm not, without a doubt.
So, and it frustrates me. I even in the printed news, I have a lot of I look at both sides. I don't just look at like some guys. They're always looking at Gateway Pundit, and you wonder, well, did they ever read anything else? Because sometimes you get a little bit on this side, you a little on this side, and then you can kind of figure out what's right here. Because Gateway Pundit does the same thing.
They do.
They'll say such and such losers, blah blah blah. They didn't have to say that.
Right, right. And I wish they didn't do that. I wish they didn't do that. The thing I love about the Gateway Pundit is that often they have the scoop on things. They find out things earlier than other people, and they have a tendency to root out the facts that a lot of times, others miss or don't talk about. What I don't like about them is exactly what you said, that they included in their reporting is the derogatory language, the phrasing. Yeah, the phrasing that is trying to tell us what we ought to think about this. And I'm like, you're just as bad as some of the others in that regard.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and I've had people get mad at me for saying that. And I go, well, look, if you're going to get mad at that side for saying something, you got to get mad at your own side doing the same thing. You have to, if you want to stick to facts, stick to facts. You don't have to throw those little name calling. When it comes to Facebook, I got tons of California friends, and of course, we're always going back and forth on our, ideas of political stuff. And I said, well, why can't we just talk about the facts? Why do we have to go into name calling? Why do you have to, when you get frustrated, your brain stops working, and then you start calling people names. Just, hey, if it's a fact, it's fact. I've had Democrats tell me something, let's say about Trump, that I didn't like, I didn't believe, and I looked it up, and they were right. And he did do that, So, we may be for Trump, but we also know he's a human being and he's not perfect. And, of course, both sides expect perfect, But anyway, that's my rant. Sorry about that.
Well, I'm with you on that one, Dave. I feel the same way. And in general, I like what Trump is doing a lot. There are some things that I've looked at and I've said, okay, I'm not sure about that one. I want to wait and see how that plays out, or I need more information on that before I can decide whether I like what he's doing with that.
Right.
And there are some things that I thought, okay, no, I can't go along with that.
Yeah. Yeah.
But generally speaking, in general, I really like what he's doing, the direction he's taking the country.
Right. Absolutely. And, too bad he wasn't able to do that, on a regular second term. Because, he's starting to get older too. He's just like all of us. We get older and older and, we slow down. And of course he doesn't seem to like he's been slowing down much, but, you're not as sharp as you were when you were younger. So,
but you know what I really like this time? I think he's got his eyes open. Generally this time he's not just listening to what others tell him about, oh, this is a good person to rely on or whatever. And he has brought a different caliber of people around him that I am much, much happier to see. And most of them are a lot younger, which means that maybe they'll be around for a long time.
Yeah. Well, I was thinking about that very thing today, and I thought, he had 4 years to kind of pull together his own private army, start thinking about, well, who would I put here? And that's really radical, but maybe that'll work. I mean, because some of his choices, you go, really? I mean, you're kind of for it, but then you're apprehensive. But at the same time, I'd say, but that's what it's going to take. It's going to take people like that. And all these people are pretty darn bold. And you can't put people in charge of something that you want things done that are going to sit back and go, well, I don't know. What should I do? They got a firm.
Let's do more of what we've been doing for years and see if maybe it will come out different.
Oh, yeah.
Sometime.
Yeah. Insanity. That's what that is.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So yeah, I do have to say though, the first 100 days, I was like, man, he's leaving me breathless, just breathless with all the changes that are happening and all the things that he's putting into play, things that we've been wanting for years.
I know.
And now they're happening. And yet it's a little bit like, being on a roller coaster, and you feel like, politically speaking anyway, like you've been coming up to the top of that,
before it goes over the top,
and it's so slow, and you're getting there and you're like, oh, finally, it looks like maybe we're getting something. It's like, yeah, now and everything's going to happen. Whoosh.
Well, maybe. Yeah. But one of the things I thought too, what if the strategy is divide and conquer? Like, well, how do you do that? By, making things happen. Well, I think, you notice, if he had just done one or two things, then all this lawfare stuff, they would just attack it. Like, well, they already are, right? But if you hit with so many things, it divides their attention on the battles that they're fighting. And I think maybe he's just thinking, overwhelm them with, all these things, because they're not going to like any of it. So you might as well hit them all at one time.
But, I love that it proves that all these things can happen quickly. We've been trained to believe for decades that the wheels of government turn very slowly, and Trump is proving that doesn't have to be the case.
Yeah,
it's true.
Well, California.
The nice thing about it is that things are progressing. I mean, a little bit slowly, and the only reason why they're progressing slowly is because the Democrats keep on trying to block it. And once we get over, I'm sure I guarantee you, within the next before Memorial Day, I guarantee you we're going to have some kind of a heads-on with the Supreme Court. That'll get solved, and all these nook and cranny activist judges are all going to have to shut up, and it's going to be a whole different story.
Yeah, I think the pressure is on these activist judges, because they're seeing what's happening. But like California is a good example. Trump was in office for 14 weeks, and they are up to 14 lawsuits. That kind of tells you they've been throwing a lawsuit every single week of Trump's administration, and that was at the 14-week mark.
Well, remember, after he was elected and before he even took office, the California legislature had already allotted, what was it? So many $1 million. It was more than 5 million. I
Yeah.
want to say it was, yeah.
think
But
it was
they had
15
allotted a
million.
lot of money to do nothing except
But lawfare.
resist Trump.
Yeah, right.
That's it.
Yeah.
They didn't even know what he was going to do yet. He hadn't done anything yet. And already they're like, we're setting aside millions of dollars to resist Trump. And this was at the same time that all of those wildfires were going on there, and all the
Yep.
corruption was being revealed there, and all the results of all their regulations.
Wasn't there something like $80 million missing, or 80? I don't know how much. They got a
There's
grant
money
for
missing out.
homeless.
There's billions of dollars missing
Yeah, and they
from
can't
that.
account for it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then, of course, Trump came back and said, hey, we're going to cut all this funding off unless you,
Mhm. Mhm.
turn these programs, back around and
He did.
and be accountable. He wants them to be accountable for the money that they've already gotten, and they can't.
And
What
also
a
too, for
shocking thing.
voting rights.
Yeah.
In other words,
Because
Yeah.
they're the
That-
experts
Here's
at
what-
diverting funds.
Here's one thing that bothers me, and they don't bring it up that much. You go into a bank and you want to cash a check. They ask for a form of ID. Generally, they ask for your driver's license.
Mhm.
All right. If you don't have a driver's license, you usually have a government ID. Now, people that don't drive, which would be the elderly or the very poor, will generally have a government ID. And these people are not necessarily white, they're black, they're Hispanic, they're Indian, whatever.
They're people.
But the point behind it is that it is easy to get a government ID. You can even get one at the bank. The bank will make one out for you. And they
Mhm.
don't charge you for it. At least in
Mhm.
Florida they did. But here's the deal. They complain that it is racist to have somebody, in other words, they can't afford a bus to go down and get this, that, or the other. Well, if they're going to have to get on a bus to go someplace to get an ID, why do they have to go and vote? Why do they have to do this? In other words, they're going to vote from home and nobody even sees this. In other words, they're trying to every which way to figure out how to circumvent legal and honest voting.
Mhm.
And if you look behind it, it all boils down to voter ID. If you want to use voter ID, you have to have one. There's
Mhm.
no ifs, ands, or buts about it. And they're even trying to work around that too with the presidential election. I remember seeing way back when that the presidential, that had to do with some of the states like Colorado and a few others, wanted to leave Trump off the ballot. That is a federal election. The states can't do that. They have to leave him. Well, they have the whole jurisdiction over who's going to be, governor, lieutenant governor, all that sort of stuff is up to them. But the president, no, that is federal level put onto that election. So once again, if you have a driver's license, I'm sure that all these poor black people that have driver's licenses, even the ones that steal cars, have driver's licenses. I mean, literally. Or if they're 16 years old or 17.
It's insane to act like, oh, well, they're too poor to get a driver's license to,
Or they're
get
too
on the
stupid,
bus
or
or
they
whatever.
can't use a computer.
Almost, not every, but almost every state in the union right now has it where you can go and get that government ID online. You can scan your documents, you can get it online. So there's really no excuse. Free at libraries, you can get online for free. I'm sitting here thinking, what else do you have to have an ID for? You have to have an ID if you want to fly anywhere. You have to have an ID if you want to buy alcohol or a gun. You have to have an ID when you go into the hospital.
Yeah.
For any kind of surgery or treatment or anything like that. That's one of the first things they're going to ask you for. So if you go into a bank to cash a check, you have to have an ID.
But that's racial. Pull the old race card out. Oh, it's racial.
Yeah.
To me, it's racial. It's racial to say that they're too poor to have that. Really?
That's right.
Go ask them. I guarantee you. I bet you will not find a single one who has said, "Oh, I was too poor to go get one."
I mean, literally, if you stop and think about it, every time that one of those people like Crockett or Hakeem Jeffries, whenever they don't have a good comeback or a good answer, it's the race card. Automatically, it comes out. Literally, it comes out so fast. You know, it's like a quick draw. But it's crazy. It really is. It's crazy.
Yeah.
You have that one meme up there? Because I've got a meme I put up. I made one up today with Hannah. It's the first one with her in handcuffs.
Oh,
Our
yeah.
first judge in handcuffs.
Let me see if I can find. Oh, yeah, here it is.
Yeah, this is fresh off my press today.
Oh, wait a minute. It's so big it doesn't fit in the screen.
Oh, it looks so good to see a judge with her, a big fat judge with her hands behind her back with handcuffs on. Literally.
How come it's a big picture, John. Why is it so big?
I don't know.
Yeah, you can't tell. That could be anybody, John.
That's her. No, it's her.
Okay.
See the handcuffs
You were
there.
the first one to get it hot off the press, huh? Oops. Sorry
Yep.
about that. Hey, Nina, on your screen, do you have a share button?
No.
It doesn't show down
No.
at the bottom or off to the side or anything?
There's one that says present. Is that it?
Click it once and see. You know how to work that from being on the other side, right?
All right. It does say share screen, image
Oh, okay.
file, video file.
so-
Yeah.
So you're able to do that. Okay. I was
Yeah.
just curious, being on the other end, if you guys were able to. So if you ever have anything, you want to put it up, we can.
Well, that's good to know because I usually don't bring anything because I think there's no way for me to share it. So
Yeah, well, I've thought the same thing too. But the other day I was on with William and Matt, and I saw, hey, there's the present button, and I hit it, and so I was able to share a few things. So I just thought, well, I didn't know if it's because William and I share the same StreamYard, so that's I thought maybe I was just seeing it.
Yeah, I think I had assumed if you're not an admin that there were, you didn't have the ability to do that, only the admin. But it did occur to me, hey, maybe I should have sent Dave some stuff in advance. Of course, I didn't know early enough that I was going to be here.
Well, if there's anything that you want to talk about, so it just makes.
Yeah, I have to wait for Santa Claus to come one of these years and send me a laptop so I can do all these neat things. Hey, it's still just the same. I'm happy with my little with my cracked screen cell phone. It's been doing me good.
What there was something I was looking. Let me see if I can find it. So the Gateway Pundit is reporting, and I haven't looked past the headline on this, but they're reporting that a DEA raid busted several active duty military who were working as armed security for illegal alien gang underground nightclub in Colorado.
Really? Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And then there was like 800. They did 800 arrests down in Florida just the other day. I saw.
Oh, that.
The one in Colorado that Nina's talking about, they've got a whole bunch of arrests. They've got gang members. They've got a little bit of everything.
You guys out there watching, is there anything that we haven't seen, or you got anything that you want to comment about? Go ahead and throw it up in the comments. Everybody's being kind of quiet today, except for Nancy Dunks.
So here's another thing. Washington State becomes the first state to recognize Islamic holidays as state holidays.
That's a subject we're going to have to start paying closer attention to. I've been lately been posting about it because it is starting to become a major problem, and it's right there in your guys' backyard there in Texas.
Yeah, and
Literally,
there was a gal on, and she said, "We're not trying to change your country. We're trying to change your mind, like convince you of their religion." But that's the same
There's a
thing.
couple-
But you
Yeah,
know,
because a couple.
any area that gets overwhelmed by a certain ethnic group from another country kind of turns their little area into what their country was. And then, of course, then you have your local, government that pops up. And then, of course, all the local government is the people that they represent, which is that community that's been built on, from another country. A good example is like Chinatown in like California, places like that. They're all over the place, but there's good examples of states on a state level being overrun by a certain ethnic group, and they're basically changing the landscape of the whole state.
That is Minnesota is one of them. Minnesota has
Right.
Minneapolis, St. Paul. That is Illard Omar. And that literally is horrible there. The other problem you've got too is it's Wayne County, but it's Detroit, Michigan. You've got a big problem there too. That has been that way. They are forming large communities inside the major cities across the United States. And they're even spreading across where they can't get. I mean, you take a look at Texas. You've got Dallas Fort Worth is 40 miles between the two of them. Then you've got Houston off to the side. It's just the point of they did have to. There's not something real direct there. I've been out that way before, and it's just pretty much nothing in between around there. But you're going to start seeing it in other places too. I don't know if they're going to try Florida. I don't think they'll work out too well in Florida. Florida's got a very, very large Hispanic community all the way up and down the coastline.
Well, that's the thing. It's the community. And when they start congregating more and more and become more dense in an area, that's when the influence changes, and it changes things. One of the things is if you get too many of a certain background in an area, other people don't feel comfortable anymore that live there, and they decide, well, you know what, we're moving out of here, which just opens up another hole for somebody else to move in, and it just slowly changes, and that's a lot of communities it's not even only happening in the United States, it's happening in the UK too. They've got whole communities being taken over. Yeah.
People in the government in the UK are mostly Muslim.
Yeah.
Literally.
Yeah, and that's something a lot of people in the UK are suddenly waking up to, that suddenly the UK has lost its English.
Yeah.
It's it's no longer British anymore. All the things that they loved about it, what made it,
Well, it's simple. If you get enough voter base living there, now you can run for these positions, and you'll get voted in because that's your people. It's just it's an easy equation.
It's not just there; it's happening other places too. I think it was happening in Europe. Sweden, all across Europe, Germany, Sweden, Finland. Yeah, and there's a move afoot now with a lot of people in those countries who grew up in those countries who are saying, no, we want our country to be for us. And these people need to go back to their country and make their country the place for them.
So why is there such a big push for immigrants in the UK and other countries in the United States? Why apparently they don't like their own countries, right? I mean,
no. Let me give you a quick explanation on that.
Okay, that's what I want. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, with the Muslim religions, a lot of them will tell you what they are basically for is, you go into a country like America. America has people from Saudi Arabia, it has people from England, it has people from Mexico, from China, and America's called the melting pot. That's what we are. So you would have gone back to 100 years ago to New York City, you would have had neighborhoods with Irish, with Italian, so on and so forth. I think you get the message. Right. Yeah. But they were Americans. They came here to become Americans.
Because they wanted to be American. Yes.
Right. In other words, if you want to have your olive oil tree, Go back to Italy and plant your olive oil trees. You're not going to plant any in Lower Manhattan. I mean, it's just a point of this is what it's about. But the Islamic societies, the way that they work is, no, they are not here. They're not in each particular country. In other words, to become part of the melting pot. They are their own entity, and they want rid of Western society. They don't want any part of it. And it's not going to be in some areas too that I've heard that they keep it kind of quiet lately. I'm going to try to find a video on it. Is in Minneapolis, Minnesota, where they have with bowing to Mecca in the east. You can hear those with the big microphones and the mega horns. You can hear, Can you imagine waking up to that 5 o'clock in the morning? My shotgun's coming out. Literally, it's just a point of, no, thank you. But no, that they are actually out there. They will tell you it's in the Quran that they are their own country, their own people, their own religion. Muhammad is the only religion. There is no God. There is no Christ. That's all there is to it. They have the Prophet Muhammad, and that's sad. That is very sad. They say that they are peaceful people, but they're not peaceful. Look what happens when you get in Mideast. And here's the other part of it too. Take a good look at what's gone on around Gaza. You've got Lebanon to one side, Egypt to the other side, and Jordan over there too. Why are they not helping out with the people from Gaza? They're Muslim. They're not helping them out because they don't need to. They want Israel. The point behind it is they will stick it out and figure out some way or another to move the Israelis out of there. And that's exactly what's still happening now. That's still, the war's still going on, and Israel's going to have to really eradicate every single one of them out of there in order to keep that. Literally.
Yep.
They're not going to let it go because Israel is considered as a Western entity right smack dab in the middle of it. And even the people in Lebanon, Beirut, they don't want even the Muslims that are there. They're sick and tired of it. They don't want the Islamic Jihad. They don't want these violent people.
Right.
So
because they've already seen the Muslims living in Israel have already seen that they fare better with the form of government that Israel has, and that allows them to actually prosper and succeed there. Whereas if they go into Gaza and they try to have businesses and so forth, they don't succeed there because the mindset is totally different.
Yeah, Hamas is there.
Right.
Well, we're almost up at the top of the hour. John, want to give your channel out. If anybody here watching wants to hear about some of the things that John's been talking about, check his channel out. And how is it they find you?
It's American in Brazil 458.
458. Yeah, I can never remember those last few numbers. 458. Okay, but that takes you right there. I know because when you type in just American in Brazil, you get several different things. So, but if you do the 458, it takes you right to his icon. You click on it.
Actually, the A, the I, and the B are capitalized. The rest of them are small case, but I'm pretty sure it works the other way. 458.
Yeah, in search terms, I think it will.
So what does the 458 stand for, John?
Okay, when I put it in, when I had, of course, for my prior channels that my friend
it's just 458. Yeah, no channel. Almost.
I like Chanel number 5. American.
Chanel number 458. So they decided, they gave me some options, and I just went and I said, okay, here's one, because they kept on telling me it's too close to this and it's too close to that, and I felt like saying, like, well, if they could hear me, that's the one she already took away from me already. So
well,
I said, we whenever it back to you.
Whenever they add numbers to the end, that means there's others with that same name. So
yeah.
But
there's a couple
so anyway,
there,
let's go back up here to Nina. How's your channel doing?
Well, slow, because I'm not doing very much with it right now. I've been busy. Yeah, I've been busy. Yeah. So, but it's still there, and every once in a while I get on and I do something. So if you want to go check out what I've done in the past, it's Southern Digest, and I also have Southern Relish, so you can check out either one of those.
All right, and you're on Facebook too.
Yes, I'm on Facebook and on Instagram. So, and somebody told me that my some of my videos, they had been taking clips out of those and putting them on TikTok. I had no idea.
Oh, really? Well, yeah, that happens.
It does.
Hey,
It does.
Nancy says American
Maybe,
in Texas.
huh? Yeah.
Hey,
One of these days.
you know, let me tell you, I would not mind that one iota. You have no idea how much I miss America. You have no idea.
Oh, I bet.
You have no
Mhm.
idea. I fight for my country from afar every single day. I mean, I have one day out of the week, out of the month, where we go up to Brazil. You have to do grocery shopping, and
Mhm.
outside of that, every single day I'm on there. Every day, 360, well, whatever amount of days
Mhm.
per year.
Yep.
But
Okay,
well,
well, we're at
I'm
the
in
top. We're at the top of the hour, and we're just going to have to say goodbye to Nancy Dunks. Appreciate
Bye,
her,
Nancy.
filling up the comment section, and all you guys out there, the other 9 or 10 people out there. Thanks for watching, and we will see you on the next one. Bye bye.